My next guest is a beauty editor, well-respected beauty editor, who believes that we've actually all become too obsessed with how we look. And with the average woman spending over £100,000 on cosmetics throughout her lifetime, she might well have a point. Anita Bhagwandas is on a mission to expose the ugly side of the beauty industry, and she's written a book to help us, well, in a way, to learn to embrace our imperfections. And you join us now. Good morning. The book is called Ugly, and the book really came from quite a devastating, just a split-second moment of you reading a comment under an article. Is that right?
It did, yes, yeah. I was working at a magazine at the time, and online there was a picture of me alongside my two colleagues, and we wrote this regular column, and someone wrote, Anita Bhagwandas is really ugly. And I was at a point in my career then when I'd won a lot of awards and like lots of great stuff was happening for me. And all I could focus on was this comment, and it seemed to take the place of everything good that I'd achieved. And it really made me think about how powerful ugly is as a concept and as a word.
And it's fascinating reading your book because it's a story of your life, but it's also the story of what we now think of as beautiful and what we deem as ugly. And the bandwidth for what is beautiful is so narrow and so uninclusive in general that, in effect, the whole cosmetics industry essentially is based on us all desperate to get into this narrow little frame, right?
Yeah, a lot of it is, absolutely, yeah. And I think we grow up with that narrative that in order to be attractive or beautiful and successful and rich and all of these lots of different things, you have to fall into this very small remit. When actually, if we look at how and why that remit was created, I think it can be really life-changing, and it kind of just, it makes you angry and it makes you think, oh my gosh, I have been sold this lie. I could have been happy with the way I looked. I can still be happy with the way I look.
Right. And it's interesting because in the book, and very early on, you say, now when you look back and you think how much time and how much joy has been stolen by you being worried about being seen as unattractive or whether you're going to be beautiful enough, and this is something we all relate to, it actually leaves you feeling quite devastated when you look back.
Yeah, it makes me feel like it makes me feel really sad because I wish I had known all of these things, and I wish I'd known how it had been created, and I really could have just ignored all of that and been happy with
So
how
let's talk about, like, you talk about in there something that I hadn't realised. Barbie was a massive film last year, massive impact. But there was a Barbie in the 1960s that you referred to called Slumber Party Barbie. My jaw hit the floor when I read this. Tell me.
Yeah, Slumber Party Barbie, she's in a little swimsuit, but she comes with a set of weighing scales and a book that says, don't eat.
For kids, I mean, and the weighing scales are set at £110.
Yes, which is also it's really damaging.
It's extraordinary, and that was being sold to millions of little girls around the world.
Absolutely, absolutely.
OK, so tell us a bit about how, in a way, well, you write about beauty. So how do you write about beauty? How do you still love products? How do you still work in that industry with these colleagues? And now, in a way, be going, let's pull the brakes on this.
Yeah, I think there's a really interesting middle ground. I think we can still, I love beauty. I love makeup in particular. I think where we've come is that beauty is not about self-expression anymore, and it's become about fitting in and trying to look like a filter, trying to look like, But
you must despair at the Instagram filters then. You know, the fact, you do see young girls all, dare I say, there's just a look.
Yes,
and everybody seems to have it, and it's about Botox and tweakments and all this. What do you think of all of that, then? Should we be really resisting all of that?
I think we need to make informed decisions. So it's totally fine to have those things. I'm not anti those things at all. I'm not anti the beauty industry. I just think it needs a lot more regulation, particularly cosmetic surgery. I think it can be quite unethical, and I think we just need a lot more insight into why we're being sold these things, and then we can make a really informed decision.
The Queen. You posted something which is on the complete other end of sort of fashion and beauty, but is held up as one of our style icons.
Yeah.
I mean, tell us about what item of fashion you'd like to see come back into trend then.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of vintage beauty, so I found a little rain bonnet in a little case, and I just thought, this is great. And then I found pictures of the Queen wearing it, and I thought, actually, that's a great idea.
You love this.
I love it. It's better than an umbrella. My hair always gets wet with an umbrella. I think we should bring the rain bonnet back.
And it's really interesting because one of the things you say is to define your own beauty standards.
Yeah.
And I suppose when you look at, you know, the icon that was the Queen then, her, like, she just stuck to her style, knew who she was. We didn't, you know, that was somebody who stayed classic. And I suppose, what are your tips then for young women, and all of us really, who haven't questioned the beauty standards around us and feel terrible about ourselves the majority of the time?
I think we need to take sort of stock of the messages we're sort of telling ourselves when we use beauty products. If we're using them to hide, if we're using them to conceal and fix and shape and contour, and try and get away from that narrative and move into a place of joy, which is what beauty should be about. It should be about expressing what's on the inside, on the outside, and having fun with it. So one day if you wake up and you just feel like you want to wear a glittery eyeshadow, wear it, and it doesn't matter what age you are. All the narratives around ageing and beauty are concepts to make women feel bad. And I just think we need to embrace beauty as a form of self-expression again.
Were you worried about writing the book? Because I suppose you've spent your life around companies, cosmetic companies, who do want us to feel less than enough to sell their products.
Well, maybe a little bit, yes. But I really believe in this because it's affected me personally. And the reason I'm a beauty editor is because I spent my entire childhood feeling so ugly, as I talk about in the book. And I want to really help shift that narrative for myself, but also for other women and other people.
Well, thank you so much for writing the book. I think it's definitely illuminating. It definitely made my eyes open when I was reading it. Thank you so much. Lovely to meet you.
You too.
Yeah. Anita's book, Ugly, Why the World Became Beauty Obsessed and How to Break Free, is out now.